It's a nice, crisp autumn afternoon because I say so. I don't know how often we think about this, but when you're basically God, the line between true and not becomes practically irrelevant. So, this is a true story. Doesn't matter if it isn't. A horse drawn wagon full of hay rolls towards me, driven by Misty, a character I've known since I was 14. She's my inner poetic voice. I write poems through her. I used to anyway, but even today I know she's always around. And today she's driving the fictional wagon. In the landing area is the cast of The Carousel, Karis, Zell, and Brandon. Karis is her usual pillar of enthusiasm, and I love narrating the story through her voice. It's more fun being in her head than mine. Brandon is still a bit of a blank slate. I haven't really nailed down his personality, but my urban fantasy romance adventure, whatever the hell it's going to be when I finally publish it in probably 2053 novel, needs an everyman. And Zell. Zelfina Blade. That last name's just a placeholder. My asexual succubus who made the jump into my writing from the Lotus campaign, an RPG which ran for 8 years back in the 90s, kind of a Planescape, Sailor Moon hybrid with less dice roll. You know what? You don't need to know this. Joining them are my overly pleasant big bad wolf from my puppet show script, and Walter P. Sullivan, who you may recall from the core of PSD, where he shot himself to get out of a committee meeting. I feel I owe him one. So, we're doing the thing? Asks the wolf. The thing, I forgot to mention, is a haunted hayride. This is October of 2015. I've been blogging for a year and a half. Oh, it's the 100th blog, Karis jumps in. And to celebrate this milestone, we, i.e. past blog cast members, have been summoned to take a journey down the dark trails of our host's mind, a foray into the nightmares of a child. Man, she's better at this than I am. Okay, follow-up question. Why? It's Halloween season. What better way to celebrate the season of the spectral than a tour through one's own personal hauntings? Now, I want to point out, for an ensemble standing in the presence of their creator, none of them have taken any interest in me. Brandon and the wolf are focused on Karis. Walter P. Sullivan is staring into nothingness, and it's only at this point Zell gives me the side eye. There aren't going to be spiders on this thing, are there? No spiders. Shall we go? Do we have a choice? Okay, I wasn't expecting that. Is there anyone who doesn't want to be here? Nah, I'm just messing with you. The wolf messes my hair as he climbs into the wagon, and I've learned something new about him. We're all now in the wagon, trying to ignore the fact that Walter P. Sullivan is staring expressionless at some random point among us. The first sight you can see way over there is the braying donkey. This was an animatronic on a boat ride called the Old Mill, presumably meant as a jump scare. There was a flash and a hee-haw on hoofs and everything. To a child, it looks like a monster. Brandon leans forward. I can barely make it out. Yeah, sorry about that, but this isn't actually my memory, it's my mom's. Throughout her life, she had a kind of phobia of dark attractions, which I'm pretty sure started here, and I think somehow it may have rubbed off on me. Although, in her case, it seemed to be the darkness she couldn't handle. For me, it's the animatronics. Up next is a medieval-styled wall with a huge Humpty Dumpty on top, frozen forever in an off-balanced pose. I notice Zell moves closer to Karis and stares into the hay. This is Storyland in New Orleans, a children's attraction where you can wander among nursery rhyme and fairy tale characters. The wolf's ears perk up. Hey, I'm home. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, you kind of are. So why is this a nightmare, asks Brandon. The uncanny valley isn't doing anything for you? Okay, this is why. I came here several times, never had a problem. But one day I asked if I could walk this one loop on the pathway by myself, and for whatever reason a 5-year-old has for that, I'm walking alone, and it suddenly dawns on me that being out of sight of any other living person, I actually am alone. And I've got this egg, King Cole, Miss Muffet, a cow, and Jack Horner surrounding me, and they're all staring at me. And there was this kind of dread that entered my emotional lexicon that day. and never left. I can tell I've confused Brandon. Why are we doing this? We as in, well, you. What's the point of this? I don't know. It's my blog. It's up to Karis to rescue me again. Things that scare us have a certain power over us. You know that fight or flight defense or freeze? Sometimes they throw in a few other F words in there. Not that one. But one of the ways people conquer their fears is to friend them. And I think this tour is a way of showing these things respect. Okay, well, now we're at the River of No Return, one of those Six Flags Jungle Cruise knockoffs where the sights start off innocent enough until the boat accidentally takes a wrong turn and everything becomes humorously gruesome. Now, I want you to imagine you're a 6-year-old on this thing for the first time. You see the human skeletons with the vulture, and you see the crocodile with some guy's hand in its mouth. And that sense of 6-year-old morbid curiosity opens your vulnerable soul up to absorbing the whole experience, and then you float past some carefully placed foliage and come face to face with the head of King Kong. You were not expecting this, and you're just as likely to drop to the floor of the boat as you are to jump overboard. I am told I chose the former. This SOB is the Chernobog of my nightmare world. The tour continues through all manner of creatures, from various miniature golf courses, the bear from the cave in Opryland, a whole slew of stuff from Disney World. You know the witch from the Snow White ride literally tried to kill me? When I worked there, I got to perform in her costume once. I thought that was going to be cathartic, literally getting inside her head. She was terrifying on the ride, and I was excited to inflict some of that on other people. So it's time to go out into the park, and I'm already practicing my Marty Feldman hobble. I take 12 steps and realize the mask is suffocating me. Moving on, the tour portion is over, and now we're just kind of riding in the wagon. And Brandon asks the group, "What are you guys afraid of?" Kara says heights because it's part of her character. No, I don't mean that. I mean, as fictional characters, do we actually have something to be afraid of? Sure. Wolf points to Walter P. Sullivan. How about him? Is it the vacant stare? Well, think about it. He was created like we were. He doesn't have a backstory or a family or goals or funny lines or even a description. He's just a name. His whole existence was confined to a single story. He was born, lived, and died in about 1,000 words. Now he's just there. What happens to us when we no longer have purpose? Karis mutters something about Julia Gibbs from Our Town as she dozes off. Now there's silence. And I can't help but wonder if maybe my characters don't think of me as God. Time must be pushing 11 now. Walter P. Sullivan is gone, probably forever. Most of the wagon is asleep. So I poke my head up front where Misty suddenly speaks. In solitaire, are you still there, imaginary friend? In empty prayer, I'm unaware, imaginary friend. Though wear and tear and disrepair the mavens dare to mend, we rarely share a sitting chair, imaginary friend. Perhaps 'tis worse immersed in verse the curses left unpenned, than face the wrath and aftermath of tokens that offend. With full reprieve, inept I grieve, believe, not comprehend. And yet I tell you, rot in hell, you ancillary friend. You're a bitter woman, you know that? Zell. I've been half expecting her to crawl over to me through all that hay, yet now that she's doing it, I feel strangely unprepared. May I ask you something? Of course, sweetie. Why do you hate me? I wasn't expecting that. Zell, you're one of my main characters. Why would you think I hate you? When I started, I was fun. I was energetic. I actually laughed. Now I'm just angry and hurt all the time. Well, you're a 30-year-old character who's crossed mediums. You're naturally going to evolve as the story needs you to. I mean, do you feel like you should be happier? I'm not asking you to change me. I just want to know why. Okay, you're angry because I am. I heard about things that I can't control, between mental health issues that I don't seem to ever find solutions for, and the fact that the world always seems to be on fire. I don't have anywhere to put those emotions except into a fictional character. That's why you get my phobias and my depression and all that, so at least I have some way of processing. Oh shit. You never asked for that. I just wanted what any fictional character wants. To matter. You do matter, Zell. I know those are just words on a page, but let me explain why. I've had thousands of characters come in and out of my head. I've forgotten most of them. I even have some names written down. I have no idea who they were supposed to be. But somewhere in that lifetime of noise, there was you, waving to my brain and saying, there's something here. And I believe you. I want you to shine. Do you know that you exist in a book in this very library? That means at least some part of you has already been released into the world, and maybe nothing else ever will. But I'm going to keep trying, because you matter to me. Does it always have to hurt so much? Yeah, and I'll tell you why. Because fiction writers are cruel. You're our children. We abuse you and we kill you. It's what we do about the things we love. And you, Zelfina Blade, I hate that last name. It's a placeholder. You're my favorite. And I know you can take whatever I throw at you because you're stronger than I am. And when I see what you withstand, it makes me feel like maybe I can withstand what the world throws at me. Okay. I take the horse's reins from Misty and place them in Zell's hand. Go on. Take us somewhere.